2021, what an amazing year it has been for Formula One, and this is the first season I've ever been into it, so there's a lot of things I'm taking in and a lot of things I'm experiencing for the first time. But I'm coming right off of the back of the United States Grand Prix, where Max Verstappen just won it and is 12 points ahead of Lewis Hamilton in the World Championship. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go back in time, rewrite history, and talk about those moments where things got a little shaky, things got a little dicey, and what we could have seen had there been clean racing all season long like we saw in the United States Grand Prix. It's amazing that in turn one, everybody survived. I mean, there was one spin between Stroll and Ocon, but other than that, everybody made it around that first turn. Max went a little wide to keep it clean, and we got a full race of good strategy on Max Verstappen's part and Red Bull as a whole to overtake Lewis Hamilton in the fight for the championship. Here is my take on what the rest of the season would have looked like had we had the clean racing that we had in the United States Grand Prix. Okay, so if we look at this Excel spreadsheet, this is how the season has broken down so far. Totaled up there, Max 287.5, Lewis Hamilton 275.5, 12-point difference. The notable races that I actually want to go over, and if I would rewrite history, are Azerbaijan, where we had that crazy crash by Max at the last of it. Great Britain, another crazy crash, wipes out Max. Hungary, another crazy crash, wipes out Max. Belgium, that race that wasn't actually a race, and then Italy, where the two of them got taken out together. So those are the races that I'm going to focus on. Okay, so the first thing that I want to look at is Azerbaijan, and in that race I'm just going to take it where at the time Max Verstappen crashed.
Oh, and it's Max Verstappen! Max Verstappen on the main straight, leading this race, now out of this race.
That's the results that we're going to take, because his tires really shouldn't have blown out. Him and Stroll both had tires that blow out. Shouldn't have happened in the first place. Lewis Hamilton never should have been in a situation where he had to press a magic button or forget to turn off a magic button and lose his brakes. I think they both should have finished where they were at the time of the crash. Lewis wouldn't have passed Perez. Perez wouldn't have passed Verstappen. Verstappen had an easy victory at that point. So we're going Max Verstappen number 1, Lewis Hamilton number 3. So that gives Max 25 points, Lewis 18. I think he also had fastest lap, so we'll let him keep that that's 15 points. We'll let him keep that with the 16 points total. Next on to Great Britain.
This is the accident. Oh, and it was the merest of touches, but it was enough. And look how the wheel has come loose from the rim.
I'll let Lewis Hamilton keep the win in the race. I'll let Lewis Hamilton take number 1. I'm going to give Max Verstappen at least 5th place. I'm trying to be conservative here. I don't want to put it too much in Max Verstappen's favor for these rewrites of history that I'm going to be doing. So I think 5th place is more than fair. He had more than enough pace to do better than that. He very well could have won that race. We'll never know. But had we had clean racing, I think he at least would have got 5th place had nothing crazy happened. Hungary's another story.
And a Red Bull up into P2 behind Lewis Hamilton, who holds on to the lead as they're 10 to down, they've touched. We've got cars all over the road and off the road there. 5 cars, 6 cars.
This one I actually rewrote because Lewis Hamilton would have never been left the only man to start the race on different tires, right? We wouldn't have had that red flag. We wouldn't have had to restart everything. So I'm actually going to give Lewis Hamilton the victory here. He probably would have won that race. He was showing great pace all weekend. Probably would have maintained it. First on the grid for a reason. Again, I'm going to give Max Verstappen 5th place. He did end up in 9th, but he shouldn't have had all that body damage. It's another one where he could have done much better, but to not completely blow this out of the water and rewrite it in a completely Max first and foremost way, I got to put Max 5th place. That's another 10 points to Max. Lewis Hamilton also gains a couple extra points because I put him up into 1st. Now, Belgium. Belgium's a weird one. The race that never was a race, 2 laps behind safety car. I don't think that should amount for anything. That shouldn't have been a race. Nobody should have got any points there. So I'm completely wiping Belgium off the points. Again, that's a little bit in Lewis Hamilton's favor because Max got 12.5, Lewis got 7.5. That's a 5-point gap, reduced down, 0 points for both. Shouldn't have had that race. Last comes to Italy, and I'm not going to argue whose fault it was. It's weird that both of them had longer than average pit stops that made them on the track at the exact same place in the exact same time.
Hamilton comes out onto the racetrack now, and is he going to be ahead of Lando Norris? That's the big key. No, he's not. And there's Max Verstappen right behind Hamilton into the first chicane once again. It's wheel to wheel, Hamilton and Verstappen, and this time Verstappen and Hamilton have crashed out, and they are both out.
But this is one where I actually kept the McLarens in front. They were showing phenomenal pace, so I'm gonna keep Daniel Ricciardo as number 1. I'm gonna put Lando Norris as number 2. Keep that 1-2 for McLaren. I can't rewrite that history. That's such an amazing, heartwarming history right there. I let Lewis Hamilton have 3rd place, so he gets those 15 points, and then I put Max Verstappen in 4th place, so he gets 12 points. And I think that's more than fair. Max had an 11-second pit stop, so he probably would have come out ahead of Lewis Hamilton had both of them had like a sub 3-second pit stop, because Lewis had a 4 point something, so that's a 7-second gap that Max should have been ahead. So if we write it that way, okay, Max should have ended up in 3rd, but again, I don't want to make this too Max forward. I'm going to put Lewis Hamilton in 3rd, and I'm going to put Max Verstappen in 4th. Just try and keep it a little more even, keep the races a little more close like they actually were. So where does that break us down? Well, I've got the rewrite of history right here. Azerbaijan, 25 points to 16 points. Great Britain giving Max Verstappen 13 right there. He won the sprint qualifying. That's why he has 13 and not 10. Hungary, I'm going to give 10 points to Max Verstappen right there. Belgium, neither of them get anything. Italy, 14. Again, they had a sprint qualifying. Max did better. That's why he has 14. Lewis Hamilton gets 15 points for coming in 3rd. So that brings our total to 330 to 306. That's a 24-point spread. So it only doubles what we're at right now. I don't think this is too crazy. It's still a close fight. With 5 races left, it still would be anybody's game at this point. And that gives to what it actually is. Max has an extra 42.5 points. Lewis has an extra 30.5. I think if they wouldn't have ran into so much controversy, this is a more than realistic guess as to what could have happened with clean racing. This reality is definitely more exciting. I will admit, definitely more exciting. I am glad I am watching in this season where it's so close. We've had all this drama here, but what I don't want to see is whoever wins at the end of it, oh, well, what about this race? There should be an asterisk. This lead alone gets wiped out if both of them finish Azerbaijan where they were. That gets blown out of the water just by 1 race. Azerbaijan right there, which we'll all say way negatively affected Max more than it affected Lewis. Same with Hungary. Max had a way more negative outcome than Lewis did, and then it was a decision by Lewis to stay out when everybody else pit. So I think Lewis has made more detrimental mistakes to his endings, at least in those races, and Max just got unlucky. We'll never know. It's just a fun thought experiment. I'll be up front. I am a Max fanboy. I want Max to win it. I want Max to win the world champion. I think he's been better all season. He's just had the less luck. I think he'll take it. Overall, I think he'll take 2021, but this was just a fun thought experiment. You know, how much more of a lead would he have had everything been a lot more clean like it was in the United States? And only a 24-point distance. That's still such a close race with 5 to go. Even if it was this 24-point distance, Lewis Hamilton's a phenomenal driver, and there are 5 races left. He could pull it out in the end, and he's going to fight to the very end. I think Abu Dhabi is where we're going to figure out who the world champion is. With that, what are your thoughts? What do you think is going to happen? 2021 Formula One World Champion. Thanks for watching. I was trying to do the Formula One theme. Okay, bye.